The evening of the 29th of June 1941, when the Hekla was quiet. Nothing new. The 20 crew members of the Icelandic cargo vessel Hekla were readying themselves for the night. Dinner had been served an hour ago, and the shipmates were hopeful she would reach the shore. Hekla was headed to Nova Scotia, Halifax, which would pick up food and other essentials to neutral Iceland. But around 8 p.m. a huge explosion rocked the ship. A German torpedo had started the vessel. On the 29th of November 1907, a general cargo ship was launched by the Fredrikstad Mekaniske Verkstad Fredrikstad for George Bull Pønsberg. She was given the name Clothilde Corno. The vessel was nothing to write home about. She was an average Norwegian cargo vessel meant to transport fruits and 8 passengers in first class and 6 in steerage. She was around 1,250 gross registered tons and had a big cargo capacity. She had 6 cargo hatches, 6 booms, and also 6 cargo winches. She was equipped with a triple extension steam engine and 2 boilers, which drew a single propeller. She served in and out of Norway and switched owner a few times, but in 1920 she was sold to a Norwegian shipping company once again and renamed Kong Inge. She had an uneventful career as Kong Inge, but in 1932 she was sold to Iceland, to Eimskipafélag Reykjavíkur, and renamed Hekla. She arrived in Reykjavík in 1932 and she was renamed Hekla. She was the first vessel for Eimskipafélag Reykjavíkur. She was quite large for the time in Iceland and she proved good for shipping. In 1940 she transferred owners once again, although to another Icelandic shipping company called Kveldor. She was used as a cargo vessel for trips to other countries and also sometimes as a passenger vessel. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland and the Second World War happened. In 1940, United Kingdom invaded and occupied Iceland, which made the Axis powers make a maritime exclusion zone from Iceland to England. Some sailors thought, though, the sailing from Iceland to North America was less dangerous, and some even thought they were safe. In 1941, the Hekla was rented to the Icelandic Steamship Company for shipping food and cargo to Iceland. She was painted with the Icelandic flag, and at the end of the boat deck was a 5-meter liferaft was loaded. The vessel also sailed with the lifeboats out in case of emergency and loaded the raft with supplies. On the 26th of June 1941, the Hekla was in Reykjavík harbor, ready for the voyage to Halifax. The captain of this voyage was Einar Kristjánsson, a 45-year-old master. The vessel departed with 19 Icelanders and a Lithuanian. The crew members were happy to go to America, as the British way was much more dangerous. The vessel plowed through the worst of the sea and was lively on board, although a wife of a former shipmate dreamed that the Icelandic cargo vessels Goðafoss will go down with more than half on board, and same fate with Dettifoss, and both the Hekla and Katla would meet again under the surface. Although the Katla did not sink, the stream met that shipmate, and 2 others quit the Hekla sailing. This would ultimately save their lives. The Hekla made great progress on the voyage, but they were around mid-voyage when the inevitable happened. On the evening of the 29th of June, only 2 days into the voyage, the German U-boat spotted a grey-hulled ship sailing unescorted. Reinhardt, captain of the U-boat, shot a single German torpedo to the unescorted ship. It was hit. On board the Hekla, Inge Löfdal was sleeping in his bunk when he was rocked out of his bed and thrown to the ground. He didn't know what happened, but when he ran out of his cabin, he met a shipmate who told him that they were struck by a torpedo and Hekla was sinking fast by the head. He said he ran up the stairs where he met the captain and others who were trying to free a lifeboat. Inge rushed in and tried to cut the rope when the ship tilted and he got stuck in debris, and he was ultimately sucked down with the wreck. All his tries to loosen himself were for nothing. He would surely pass, but then suddenly he sat up and he saw a life raft near him. He swam towards it and got into it. The lifeboat couldn't be launched as the ship sank in about 2 minutes. Inge was the first one to go on board the raft, but the next one was a fireman. 2 other men were saved on board the raft. Soon 3 men floating on debris floated towards the raft and they were saved. The raft though came out of the wreck undamaged, as one of the 2 barrels had broken up and water had poured inside them. Everyone on the raft were harmed, so the first aid kit would come in handy. When the drinking water and food were searched, it came to light that one of the water bottles was empty and the other one was leaked, and the water wasn't new or fresh. Jobs were put out for the survivors in the raft. One would look after for supplies, and they would put out shifts for the time. One man would get around 1 deciliters of water every day, and a watch was passed around so they could see how long the time passed. The first days of the weather for the life was fine, though for 3 days straight the raft was like a cork on the seas, as the shipwreck crew used their last strength to hold themselves as the waves battered over them. On the 6th day, a ship was spotted a few miles away. The crew shot up flares and the ship saw them and headed towards them. They were finally being rescued. They found it weird that the ship didn't have a name. Soon the ship stopped and headed a completely different way. The disappointment was staggering. It was probably a U-boat resupplying ship. They were sure they would die a slow and horrible death on the open sea, though a small hope was still in their minds. On the 10th day, a crew member on shift screamed, "Ship!" They were sure it was just a hoax, but when a Canadian corvette raced towards them, all the horrendous days on the raft was coming to an end. The ship stopped and a rope ladder was dropped. The shipwrecked men climbed aboard the corvette and they were quickly warmed up by a hot bath and coffee. The crew members of the corvette noted that the only thing they brought with them were a flare ammo, and an Icelandic flag, and also a life ring. In a deep sleep, Karl died of a heart attack. Back home, nothing had heard back from the ship. Only when the corvette sailed into Halifax was the news sent home. 4 men were sent back home to Iceland on board the Icelandic, but Vladimiras and Sigurður were 6 months recovered. Today has passed 84 years since the Hekla went down, and there are no survivors of the Hekla alive in 2025. This video is dedicated for those 14 men who battled against the seas and were lost. Today Hekla is a forgotten shipwreck out of the spotlight of other deadly shipwrecks. But this forgotten shipwreck serves as a reminder of the hundreds of forgotten ships sunk in the Second World War, where 11 children were fatherless and 7 wives were left widows.